And I don't know if I want to read about democratic socialism. Let me do that first before we go to the next one. I just want to read the definition so we can agree of what a democratic socialist is and isn't, because they seem to think, or people are saying that what's next, communism. And I'm like, where does communism come from? That's not socialism. And actually, these are democratic socialists. They believe in democracy, but they also believe in that the people should have a say in how things are being done. And like we have socialism in this country: the post office, highways, the military, just the government. Period. Pretty much, they have a lot of services they provide. Park service. These are like things that are we as a country have decided that we should all pool together and make work. Right. That's what socialism is. Right. Communism is we're just going to own, the state is going to own everything and say what needs to be produced, how many cars, who's going to work for that. That's communism. He's talking about socialism, and they're not talking about full socialism. They're talking about democratic socialism, where they work for the people and not for the corporations. And for some reason, well, we know why they're established corporate APAC Democrats. We know why they're having a problem with this. They have to work for the people, and they don't want to work for the people. 13 Democrats signed a pledge. So you can see how sick this is, and Fetterman was one of them. How sick this is that they're upset with a mayor of a city that's doing what the people want. That doesn't make any sense to me. And that's the problem I have with the Democratic Party. And people have told me about this before, and I didn't want to listen. I'm going to read this definition. Democratic socialism is a political ideology that advocates for a democratically run, decentralized socialist economy. While modern democratic socialists hold diverse views on how the economy should function, they share a core commitment to abolishing capitalism rather than merely regulating it through the state. The approach favored by social democrats, meaning that a well-regulated capitalistic system is good, because everybody, if you don't have capital, it's hard to really participate in a capitalistic system. If you don't own something, you don't have any capital, right? Capital is money, buildings, land. If you don't own those, it's hard for you to participate. That's right. So if your family has been in the United States for a very, very, very long time, and they own, let's say, a ranch out in the middle of someplace, or a bunch of land, or maybe there was a gold mine on it, or a oil wells, you're good because you own capital. You actually own something that people need and will pay you a lot of money for. If you came later on, let's say you came on slave ships, or you came as an immigrant, you may have had a harder time to get the capital to participate in the capitalistic system. So the socialists think that, or they want to either have a very well-regulated system where workers aren't exploited, or people aren't exploited. Let's say for the landlords, the renters aren't exploited, right? I don't know if you've been in New York, and this is very expensive, and they will sell you a closet and say it's an apartment because it is crazy to live there. But there are a lot of people there. I understand it. So let me read on. Democratic socialists reject Marxism, Leninism, communism as a legitimate form of socialism, arguing that command economies effectively belong to a small bureaucracy that treats the means of production as its own private property. Democratic socialists also disagree with social democrats' attempts to harness capitalism. There's right there. I'm talking about the strong or regulated capitalism. A strong welfare state, since such mixed economies still leave many business ownerships under private and therefore undemocratic control. Instead, all employees should enjoy either democratic control or self-management in the workplaces. I don't see a problem with employee-owned companies. There are very few. But I don't really think that the DSA, I've been on there with, this came from, I don't know, Webster, someplace like that. British Britannica, I think. I didn't take the definition from the website of the DSA because I wanted to get a more objective definition. So, right, straight socialism, everybody owns everything, right? They're not talking about that because that's never going to happen, right? Because people already own things. But what we're saying is, why are our elected representatives, and why did the Supreme Court do something like Citizens United, right? Like, they're saying that money is speech. So a corporation, there's even a law that say corporations can vote in Delaware. So it's like a corporation isn't a company and money is not speech. If you, in a capitalistic society and a system, that means that people with all the capital have more of a vote because you're saying money can vote, meaning that they could just start up a PAC and then dump millions of dollars against the candidate to get the candidate elected. A lot of people think that Elon rigged the vote in 2024. I don't think he rigged it. I think he paid $250 million and just bombarded, because it happened here, and just bombarded the airwaves with the message, Trump's message, and got through on the swing states, because most people only vote for the last thing they remember. Most people are not they're low information voters. They aren't looking at the candidates. They aren't really seeing who's the candidate actually is getting, where is his money coming from, who's backing them, their voting record. They aren't doing all that. It's name recognition. So if you can repeat that name over and over again on the internet and say they're good, they just vote for that person. I believe that's what happened in Maryland. I don't think our county has a very high level of high information voters. Adrian Boafo, he was an APAC candidate, straight up, and Oracle, right? All the things that people don't want. They want Israel out of our government, and they don't want data centers. Adrian Boafo he represents those two areas. That's what I'm saying. That's what he's saying. Like, so, things that they want to do according to their website, they want to get rid of the Electoral College, which I agree. The Electoral College is there because landowners, people in the middle of the country who own a lot of land, knew they would lose all the time because they don't have a lot of people, right? So in the places that have a lot of people on the West Coast, on the coast, East Coast, West Coast, that's where the people are, right? They would rule. The laws would favor them. So in order to make that more in their favor, right, they came up with the Electoral College, which should be banned. We should have straight democratic process. So that's how we have this issue of the Electoral College, and sometimes you win the popular vote, sometimes you still lose, which doesn't make any sense anymore because we know land can't vote. Why? It's like, if you live in the middle of Utah in a small town, you may never see a black person. You may never see a Spanish person. You may never see a brown person, period. Right? And all you're going to see is what's represented. All you're going to see is what you see on television, right? You're not going to see what's actually out there and what's real. So if people in states that are heavily populated want something like gay marriage legalized because they see that love is love and all this kind of stuff, but you in the state believe in the Bible and you believe it's against everything, you get to tell all these people here what to do because you own land, not actual people. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Not to me, it doesn't. I think it should be majority rule. That would make more sense, right? So things like that. That's democratic socialism, and that's what they're trying to say.